Are you ready for this? Tony Harvey here for HRV-TV. Welcome and welcome to the 4th edition of HRV-TV, brought to you by HRV Fitness and BMX Coach. BMX Coach is an app, is an online subscription at the moment as well, guys. So get onto BMX Coach and check it out for all your coaching needs, BMX Racing. And if you want to get faster, guys, BMX Coach is the ticket. And if you haven't got on it yet, something wrong with you. Get on there, check it out, BMX Coach. You can go to the Facebook page. You can go to, just go to the Facebook page. Check it out, BMX Coach, Facebook page /BMX Coach, and check it out. And you'll be fast before you know it. So today's interview, guys, I don't think you're ready for this, but we're going to do it anyway. Today's interview is one of the fastest riders in the world, AA rider. His name is Connor Fields. And I'll be chatting to Connor in a sec, and I'm going to give him a buzz and ask him about what he's been doing and how everything's going and all that sort of stuff, and what he's doing to get ready for the Olympics next year. So Connor Fields is the man today for HRV TV, episode 4, and let's get into it. Here we are with Connor Fields. Look, I'll get started. I'm a big fan of yours, man. I love watching your race. And obviously one of the most talented guys out there on a bike. But what we'll do is we'll start at the start, man. So we'll get a little bit of a background on you for the people at home that aren't real familiar with you. Obviously we get a lot of Australians watching this. I'm based in Australia, so we get a lot of Australian viewers. So let's get a little bit of history on Connor Fields, man. So how long have you been racing for?
I started when I was 7 years old, so it's been 15 years of BMX.
Wow, catching me.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So where did you grow up? Where did you start racing?
So I was born in Texas, but I moved to Las Vegas when I was like 3 years old.
Yep.
So I grew up in Vegas. I raced Vegas. There's a couple of pretty famous tracks out there: Boulder City BMX and Nellis BMX. They held nationals for lots of years, and that's where I grew up. And you know, luckily I was only a few hours away from California, so I got to spend a lot of time, you know, at all the Southern California tracks, the Orange Y, Whittier, Lake Paris, you know, the world famous ones out there. And yeah, so pretty much I'm a West Coast kid.
Yeah, sick, man. And look, and so you've had some awesome World Cup results. 2013, you won the title.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then you've won 4. You've had 4 wins in those series as well. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 total World Cup wins. Won the title in 13, and I've been top 3 overall 3 times.
Yeah, sick, man. I remember watching a few of those races, man. Like the ones that you won, like you just looked unstoppable. You know what I mean? You got out in front, and there was just no one near you. It was awesome. What do you prefer?
Yeah, I mean, those are the best days when you're out in front, no one's bothering you.
Yeah, it's an easy day, huh?
That's it. Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Back all day, it's relatively easy.
Yeah. What do you prefer to race? Do you prefer to race the World Cup stuff or more sort of the USA BMX? ABA?
To be honest, I like it all, man. You know, any chance I get to race it's a good opportunity. It's a good day.
Yep.
You know, it's what I love to do. I like both for different reasons. The World Cups, you know, are you know, the pinnacle, the Olympic qualifying races, the biggest tracks, the gnarliest jumps. And I find that, you know, really exciting and a lot of fun. But I grew up racing, you know, the ABA, which is now USA BMX. And, you know, there's some of these tracks that I've been to every year since I was 8 years old, you know, and I could fly into, you know, the city, and I know my way around the city before I even get there. I don't even have to pull out a map. So, you know, I like both. Any chance, like I said, to race is it's good. But definitely I like the tracks that are challenging.
Yep.
The pros, whether it's a supercross track or a traditional track, you know, I like tracks where we're challenged and it's not 2-2-2 all the way across. And, you know, I specifically don't like tracks when your back wheel doesn't leave the ground the whole lap.
For sure. What do you think of that? Remember they started bringing in like the transfer hips and all that sort of stuff. Did that really work?
Yeah, no, I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan. You know, from a racer's point of view and from a spectator's point of view, you want a track that makes for good racing.
Yep.
You know, it's not follow the leader. And what I found is on the hips straightaways, it was very much follow the leader 90% of the time. You know, rather than if it was just 4 straightaways, it made for a better passing and racing, and which is better for us and the spectators.
What about that box jump thing? Was that Madrid or something? There was a race.
That was Madrid.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the box jump. I think the box jump was cool if it was built the right way.
Yep.
Madrid was pretty good, but I think that it's definitely something that they could bring back. It's just a simple step on, step off, but it's a little bit more extreme.
Yep.
I think it would be really cool to have, and I hope one day they bring it back.
A bit hell track-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be really cool. Imagine you're just blazing down a rhythm straight with a bunch of rollers, right?
Yep.
You get a little break, huge jump on, huge jump off, and then back into a rhythm straight.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that'd be a lot of fun.
What about the Red Bull stuff? Did you get into that, what is that, the Evolution race? Is that what it's called?
I went to the second year of the Revolution, and I thought that was really cool.
Yep.
From my point of view, it was nice to do a race that was different.
Yep.
It was something completely out there that we haven't done anything like before.
Yep.
And, a lot of the fans and people watching were saying, like, oh, this isn't BMX, but they didn't realize that they were trying to do something that was different. They weren't trying to make it the same thing that we've, been doing the whole rest of the year.
Yep.
And so, the track was extreme. There was only 6 riders on the track instead of 8.
Yep.
There was some obstacles out of wood. There was some, crazy stuff that you would never normally see.
Yep.
But overall, I thought it was awesome. It was one of the times that I felt that, our racing was really, we were a show. That
Yep.
was all it was. We were a show for 5,000-6,000 German fans.
Yeah.
And Red Bull put up a huge €10,000 prize money for first place, and I mean it was a legit show.
Yeah. It's the modern day version of the old school sort of downhill BMX. Remember when they first started that at the X Games and stuff like that?
That was cool. Just going down the mountain basically on a BMX bike.
And just hang on.
I'm not sure if I would be up for that.
Dude, there was some sketchy looking stuff, huh? Did you see some of the old photos and like the guys like this big going over this gap? It's like this big.
Oh, and I mean, technology's gone a lot better over the last 10, 15 years, too. I mean, some of those bikes and forks, I'm not sure if I trust those on those 50-foot gaps.
That's crazy, huh?
Yeah,
all right. How's racing going at the moment? Obviously, ABA, the World Cups will be starting again soon. You got Olympics coming up next year, so everyone's starting to gear up for that. But obviously, the ABA season started, or USA BMX season started now. How's it going? How are you feeling?
Good. We're just getting into 2015. 2014 was a bit of a down year. For me, I didn't have the results that I'm used to having, but I thought I finished it really strong with a couple of second places at the Grands, and
yep.
More importantly than the results, I felt like I was riding really well, and that carried into the off season. I had a great off season of training, and in Phoenix, I was able to get the win on the season opening round, and again, continued to carry that momentum, and we have a pretty big weekend this coming weekend in Rock Hill, and then the World Cup international stuff gets going here in a couple weeks, and like you said, with the Olympics around the corner, I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who's trying to step their game up, and we all have that same goal in mind, and step 1 is qualifying and being able to represent your country, and then step 2 is going for the medal, obviously, and there's an amazing depth of riders in the U.S. There's going to be a few guys from the United States that would have a chance at a medal that won't even get to go to the Olympics because our country has so much depth. So, all my focus right now is just performing at my best and setting myself up to be one of those 3 guys that gets to represent the United States.
Yeah, man, that's it. So who do you normally ride with? Like when you're obviously back home and training, who do you ride with?
So I live in Vegas, and
I live in Vegas,
the only kind of downside of living there, there's not much downside to living in Vegas, but one of the only ones is that there really isn't any other pros.
Yep.
So I do end up having some of my friends come and stay. For example, Torin Ihog, he's from Canada, so he can't ride in the winter, so he flies down and stays with me a lot in the wintertime.
Yep.
Another buddy of mine named James, who's on the Canadian national team as well, he lived at my house for 2 months in the off season. And then if I need to seek out some riders to ride with, I can just cruise down to Chula Vista, which is only 4 hours from my house, and spend a couple days out there, and that's where half of the class lives. So if I feel I need the competition, I cruise down there. But I grew up training by myself, and I just prefer to do my own thing.
Yeah, man. What's a typical week in Vegas? Like, what do you do? Obviously, you race on the weekends. You fly back home Sunday night most of the time, or?
Yeah, so no, I race weekends. I fly back home. I actually go to school as well, part-time.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I go to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and it's a pretty big school. I mean, it's like 30,000 students. You know, it's a full university.
Yep.
I only do about 2 or 3 classes each term.
Yep.
Just that way it's manageable with my racing. But between school and training and racing,
yeah.
And
what are you doing at school?
Takes up all my free time.
What are you studying?
I want to be a business major, marketing.
Yeah, nice.
And what I kind of want to do one day is work at like an action sports company, like a Monster, a Nike, GoPro, something like that, but on the business side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
Just feel like it'd be a cool thing because I have the experience as the athlete, plus the piece of paper that says I know what I'm talking about, and you know, not many people have both. A lot of people have one or the other. Yeah,
for sure, man. I mean, that's it, isn't it? Life after BMX, you got to start planning ahead eventually. So that's awesome.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, both my parents went to university. My dad's a businessman, and they kind of didn't give me much choice other than to make sure I went to school.
Yeah, go do something. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, who did you look up to when you were growing up, like racing wise?
So coming from Vegas, we had a couple pretty good guys. Nathan Berkheimer.
Yep.
He made a couple Worlds finals. He was a pretty good AA, and I really looked up to Kyle for a long time.
Yep.
Kyle Bennett.
Yep.
Who didn't? When you were coming up in my age, he was the man.
Yep.
And he was the guy that everybody wanted to ride like and be like. And I also looked up to some of the older amateurs from the United States. It's funny, I actually race now. I looked up to a guy named Jarrett Kolich. I looked up to David Herman, actually.
Here you go.
I race now. He was like 5-6 years older than me on my team.
Yep.
And, there's just a few guys that were older than me that I looked up to. But if I had to pick one, it would be Kyle Bennett.
Yeah, nice. Cool guy. I mean, when I come over for a little while, we did this few weeks, 6 weeks, and I was there with Sean and Luke Medill, and Kyle was training with Sean, and so he hung out a lot. Yeah, just a relaxed dude, huh? So relaxed.
Man, he was so laid back and happy all the time, and he was one of the guys when I was getting a little bit older who kind of helped me out and pointed me in the right direction and was always willing to give me some advice or some help. And when you're the young kid coming up in the pro ranks, some of the guys are going to be a little bit resentful and they're not going to want to help you out too much. But he was always really nice and easygoing, and it was a tragedy that he got taken before his time.
It's crazy. I remember hearing that, man. I was just like, what? It took me a good couple of hours just to process the whole thing. It was like, how you never really think of anything like that happening to anyone you're close to, or anyone in the BMX community. It very rarely happens too. You got that Mario Soto, remember him as well, and there's a few other athletes like that just it's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's for us because in the BMX world, we see these people from weekend to weekend.
Yeah.
You don't see them all the time.
Yep.
So at first, it's not that different because you're not seeing them and you're not used to seeing them. But then you go to a few races.
Yep.
And you don't see him at a couple races in a row, then it kind of sets in like I'm not gonna see this rider or whatever at the race. And, it was pretty sad for sure.
Oh yeah, man, and he's such a nice dude. Do any of the older pros sort of pop down to the track anymore? Do you ever see any of those guys? Like, I mean, we sort of growing up. I mean, obviously when I was growing up, we see guys like Gary Ellis and Danny Nelson and all those sorts of guys were dominating back in the day. Did any of those guys ever come to the track anymore?
Well, there's a couple of guys in the BMX Hall of Fame from Vegas. There's a guy named Tracer Finn, who raced back in the 70s, who still has a cruiser.
Okay.
And comes out to the track and rides. And then also Turnell Henry.
Yep.
He's out of the track. He actually teaches clinics once a week, and he has a kids team.
Yeah, sick.
So, there's a lot of, and then there's still a few guys. The old pros. Nathan Berkheimer. He doesn't ride anymore, but I'm still in touch with him. And then Derek Betcher. He's from Vegas as well, but he's still involved running the new bike company that he's running.
Oh, okay, cool. He was with Haro for a bit.
From Vegas that were older than me, like the generations above me.
Yeah,
they're still involved and around.
Yeah, that's cool. Because he was with he was with Haro for a little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's with Haro, and now they're revamping Speedco.
Oh yeah, sick.
So yeah, he's taken over that job.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, you slotted in there well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So hey, what do you think competition-wise at the moment? Obviously, like you're saying before, there's a bunch of quick American guys. What do you think of the competition at the moment? So a lot of foreigners over there racing as well. I mean, it's always been like that. You know, back in the day, you had Christoph coming over and Thomas Ellier and even Warwick Stevenson, a few of the Australian guys. What's the competition like now in the States?
Yeah, like you said, there's foreigners here before, they're here now, and I'm sure they'll be here forever.
Yep.
I mean, this is where the jobs are.
Yep.
And, this is where if you want to be the best, this is where you have to come and race. And, the competition level rises every year.
Yep.
I mean, everybody gets another year under their belt. There's no question anymore of, is everybody committed? Is everybody training? When you wave the Olympic carrot in front of everybody and you get, countries coming in and putting money into people and programs, and the level just continues each year to go up, 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 up. I mean, if you took the guys that are, even the same, me, Sam, Maris, the top, a few guys, Nick, David, etc., and you had us race ourselves from 2-3 years ago, we'd be smoking ourselves from 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sure 2-3 years from now we'll be smoking ourselves as we sit right now. So, you got to expect that everybody else is going to be stepping up their game and that you're going to have to step your game up as well.
Yeah, for sure. So riding for Chase at the moment?
Yeah.
How long you been riding for those guys for?
I signed a 4-year deal with them actually after the 2012 Olympics.
Yeah, sick.
Locking me in through 2016.
Awesome. So Christoph and Pete Deluski, is it?
Yep, Christoph is the owner and Pete's the marketing guy.
Yep. Yeah, nice. Pete was just out here in January for we had a track attack series, so I actually got to meet him, had a bit of a chat.
One day.
What's that?
So I'd love to come and do that one day. It's always been one of the. I've seen it for years, and I'm really good friends with a guy from Melbourne, and so he tells me about it, and
Fernsey.
I'd love to one day come out and try it out.
Yeah, good old Jake. He loves it.
Jake, yeah, Jake's friend.
He's racing this weekend.
Yeah,
Jake?
no, I ride his training programs.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Nice. He's going fast, man. He raced. We raced him the other week. He did okay. He was in the main,
he's
so.
proven. I mean, he's a horse in the gym.
Yeah.
He's strong as an ox in the gym. We're just trying to get it, from the weight room onto the track.
Yeah. Nah, he's good, man. Nice guy.
I'm sure it's harder than it seems sometimes.
Oh, for sure, man. Nice guy. Yeah, that's cool, man. So how does it working with Christoph? Does he chat to you all about back in the day when he used to race and give you any training advice and stuff like that as well, or?
So riding for Christoph's really cool. I mean, everybody knows who he is. I mean, he goes down in history as the guy who changed the game.
Yep.
And just like I'm sure he was like this in racing. He's like it in business. Everything has to be perfect. I mean, he's a complete perfectionist.
Yep.
If one piece of my bike he doesn't like the way it looks, I mean, he'll redo it 3 times. For example, Chase is coming out with a carbon fiber frame, and they did 3 or 4 molds to try and get the right one that he liked.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know how much a carbon mold is, but it's not cheap. And he was doing this just to make sure that he gets it right. But that it actually shows in the product. And I'm not just saying this because I ride for them. I truly think that they have some of the best product, available out there. From the frames to even the components and everything. It's really good quality stuff. But as far as the training goes, I mean, he likes to talk smack and tell me that he can still pull me. That if he trains for 6 months, he can pull me.
Yeah.
And, I say, Christoph, come on, man. Maybe back in your day you were the man, but we're a little faster now. But no, we go back and forth. But no, he's good. He definitely holds me accountable. He sent me an email at the start of this year, and he said, "Yo, Connor, 2 world titles, 3 ABA titles. As that's what I have. You better step it up."
You got some work to do.
So when you're riding for a guy who, won everything all the time. I remember I had one weekend where I got like a first and a second on an ABA weekend, which is a great weekend by pretty much anyone's standards. I sent him a text and he just said, "Good job." He didn't care.
Yeah.
If I go and I get a third or a second or something, I don't hear back from him. The only time I hear from him is if it's a win.
Yeah. You're the first or your last.
Well, I mean, for him, it's like he would win 15 weekends a year.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, in 1 year, he won the ABA title and the NBL title, and so you know, when you're riding for a guy like that, he's got high expectations, which, you know, I think is good. You know, it holds myself and Joris accountable, and you know, and he knows what he's talking about. It's not like it's some random dude out there telling you to step it up. You know, when it's one of the legends of your sport telling you to step it up, then you listen.
Yeah, it's a different thing, isn't it, when you've got someone that's had the experience and put the runs on the board.
Yeah, exactly, and he's put his fair share of runs on the board.
That's awesome, man. Cool, man. Hey, well, look, I'm out of questions. So, that was awesome. What about, so who are you riding for now? Obviously, you're riding for Chase. Monster Energy as well?
Yeah, Monster came on board in 2012, and I love riding for them. You know, they're a super cool company, and I'm a huge fan of Monster Supercross. I always have been.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome, you know, getting tickets and checking out all those Supercross races. And I know you guys got an Aussie Chad Reed out there, and you know, and he's the old dude now. But no, I love that, and I also ride for Fly Racing. You know, I'm supported through Chase by, you know, ODI, Grips, Tioga Tires, Kicker Audio, and I actually I haven't even made this public, so I'll give you first breaking news.
Here we go.
I actually just signed a deal with the Audi dealership in Las Vegas, in Henderson.
Yeah, nice.
So they're wrapping a car, custom Audi wrap for me. That's gonna say, you know, Audi Henderson, you know, Road to Rio, Connor Fields, and all that, and we're gonna shoot some cool photos, like jumping over the car. And
sick.
all that stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. That's awesome. It's great getting those businesses outside the industry, to get them on board and stuff like that. Sick.
Yeah, no, it was a really good fit, because the marketing guy raced BMX as a kid, and you know, and the owner of the dealership raced BMX as a kid.
I think everyone did. Everyone did, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And so we're gonna actually, on top of that, we're gonna do some really, really cool stuff just in the city of Henderson to promote the sport.
Yep.
You know, they're gonna hire the track out for a day, and basically, you know, say, come ride for free with, you know, Coach Connor.
Yep.
And, you know, basically do some really cool things within the city to support and to promote BMX along with, you know, their dealership.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and now that BMX is an Olympic sport, you know, you'd think that a lot more companies would jump on board, and the fact that we've got Olympic athletes and all that sort of stuff, and you got the edgy side of it that it's an extreme sport, and I mean, how many kids out there with BMX bikes? So, you know, it's a great opportunity for a lot of businesses.
In America is it's particularly hard because in London we got over 100 gold medals.
Yep.
From the U.S.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and unless you were like Michael Phelps, who won 8. You know, I mean, there's probably 80 guys who won a gold medal who got nothing, no recognition for it. You know, and they probably got a little bit in the local newspaper and maybe 5 minutes on the local news, but. You know, it's a little bit different, I found, around the world. In the United States, we have, you know, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, you know, all of that.
Yep.
So the Olympics isn't as big as those in the public's eyes, whereas in, you know, Australia or England, the Olympics is the top. After the Soccer World Cup or the Rugby World Cup, you know, it's the Olympics.
Yeah.
They take care of their athletes a little bit. There's more support by the public for the athletes. America, I mean, honestly, what it comes down to is someone's got to win. In London, they didn't even show BMX on TV because we didn't get a medal. Yeah. If one of us would have gotten a medal, you know, if I was in the main, if I would have had a better start and I would have won, we would have had like an hour-long primetime TV piece. You know, they had it all filmed and ready to go. Yep. But they showed a different sport where somebody won. You know, that's just the culture in America, you know. I want to see winners. That's it, man. Got to get the runs on the board. That's right.
Awesome, man. Hey, look, thanks for your time, man. It was awesome chatting with you, and it was good, like I said, just get a bit of insight on your perspective of the sport and what you've done and what you've achieved. And man, it was great talking to you. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, and you know, I got love for Australia.
That's good. You're out here. You're out here. When you came out a few years back for the Narang race, yeah.
Yeah, I raced in Narang. Spent a little bit of time in Sydney. My parents actually lived in Australia before I was born. Okay. And when I was growing up, they always told me about, you know, how much they loved the culture and the people and you know how cool it was. And then, you know, over the years, you know, meeting Australians. You know, one of the first ones I met was Kalen. Yeah. And You know, one of the other ones I met was, I don't know if you know Michael Chastanoff. You know
Yeah. I used to coach him.
And those are a couple of burly dudes. I mean, Chastanoff was like 16 and covered in tattoos, and I was racing him at a world championships, and the dude was twice my size, and he had piercings and tats, and
Yep.
you know, and then Kalen. I mean, the first time I met Kalen in 2008. It was my very first World Cup, and the rules were a little different then. I was 15, and I was going to get to race the World Cup. It was Salt Lake 08.
Yep.
And the night before the race, you know, he was sitting at the bar and having a beer, and I was just terrified. He was in my moto the next day, and I was just, you know, I mean, just look at Kalen, and you look at, you know, not only is he a badass racer, but he's kind of a scary dude, you know, and he's got that attitude. And but he ended up being a really nice guy, and we actually became, you know, as you guys would say, we became pretty good mates. And,
yeah, that was good. That sounded right.
I definitely have a little bit of love for Australia.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, we look forward to seeing you again soon, man. Hopefully, we can get you out here for some more races. It'll be sick.
Yeah, definitely. I wish that we'd have some World Cups or some you know, big events out in Australia. I'm hoping they bring it back.
Yeah, it'd be sick. Awesome. Thanks, man. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Thanks, mate.